Et bonsoir, bienvenue. Oh, Jesus, look at that rain. Okay, welcome. It's Tuesday evening. It's absolutely hosing it down for the first time this season, and we are at Donington Park for the third round of the RTA Motorsport.ie MX-5 Championship in association with us here in Gantry TV and indeed the Sim Consultants. My name is Kevin Galvin. I am joined as always by Evan Dalton, and in the background is Ronan Hederman, texting customers and also running our stream. So fair play to him. He's multitasking there in the background. With great crack last week. I'm sure there'll be great crack again this week. If not, no, I was going to say if not on track, but I can already see plenty of shenanigans going on. We'll certainly have crack up here in the commentary booth for this evening on what is due to be, I thought it was going to be dry to wet, but it's absolutely hosing it down. So our weather forecast is slightly out as we see cars pivoting left, right and centre. Now this should be a little bit more stable than the last time we had rain on this service. These MX-5s a little bit more capable, but still should be of great interest to see how we get on. So, last week we were on dry skies in the state of Connecticut in the United States of America. We're crossing back over the Atlantic to Old Blighty and up to Donington in the UK. We're just east of the East Midlands Airport, which is a lot less exotic than in Connecticut in the United States. And we are at this 3.149 kilometre national track. This is the track with the chicane. We don't do the hairpin down and back. A race lap record set by Scott Mansell in the Benetton B197. He of driver 61 fame, if I'm right in saying that. 10 turns here at this track, a track that's known for the tin tops, and we have a very, very typically a British September day, Evan. Thanks for joining us again and welcome.
You wouldn't put a dog out in that. It's a horrible evening here in Donington, but it's not going to be a horrible evening for viewers of Gantry TV. Big thanks for having me back as always, and it should be a fun one tonight. The championships are very much open still. We don't really know who our challengers are going to be just yet, and that is the exciting part of this early part of the season. This is going to be one of them evenings where anything could happen, really. We are going to try predict as much as we can, like we always do. Will we be wrong? Yes. There could be any amount of winners. It's going to take skill of a higher significance than some of these drivers have to win tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Only 22 on the grid this evening, so there's going to be plenty of those attempting it at least, with, as you can see, 94% humidity. We're expecting overcast conditions, but the rain has rolled in a little bit quicker than what we expected, as Brandon McCann tops the timing table at the moment with a 1:17.6. Now the rain has cleared up a little bit here for the qualifying session. I expect the track will still be damp, but not quite as damp as before, as the cars pile out of this pit lane, as that's Robbie Callahan doing a very interesting thing there. By maybe he just went out without taking out of the fuel or something, I'm not sure, but he's gone back into the pits. He'll come out in a second, but we can see them piling down for this qualifying session, as that's Emmett Dempsey, I think, in the background already doing a bit of a Tokyo drift. Let's give you a reminder of what we have ahead of us this evening. No doubt all of you in watching at the moment will know exactly what we had ahead of us, but we've done the graphic now. We're going to use it. So race 1 is a 10-minute affair with the grid set by qualifying, then 15 minutes with the grid set by race 1, and then 20 minutes reverse 8 from race 2 swapping. Drive-throughs at 15x, DQs at 20x, and Evan Dalton, certainly the 15x limit could come into it given the slipping and sliding we're expecting this evening.
Yeah, definitely. Probably first round of the season where that really could be the case. Could definitely see a couple of drive-throughs. We usually do see some penalty shenanigans at Donington, so I would expect that tonight. That is the running order as always, and already the sky's going off left, right and centre. In terms of our previous 2 weeks, it's actually Conor Melia who is top of the order, ahead of Ronan Doherty in second place. Doherty 4 wins out of 6. It's his best start of the season in about 5 seasons of RTA. Evan Walsh in third, but not racing tonight. Robbie Callahan in fourth. Peter McCann in fifth, also not racing this evening. Then it is reigning champion Dylan McClemens in sixth. Dermot Toomey in seventh, ahead of Sean McGoldrick in eighth. Dave Collier in ninth and Emma Dempsey in 10th. And interestingly, for Dave Collier and Emma Dempsey, they are two B Series runners. We have the B Series up and running once again, and Dave Collier is the championship leader in that B Championship. Emma Dempsey in second, then it is Ollie Meredith in third, very strong top 10. And it was an 8th place finish last week in Heat 3 for him. Nathan Sweeney in fourth, who is hopefully going to be joining us this evening. Ross Wheatley in fifth, and Phillips and Danny Dempsey, Ken Doyle, Gary Corcoran and Jamal Gandor to round out the order. But by the end of this evening, those standings are going to look a lot different.
Yeah, going to look very, very different, I suspect. And this is one of those where people might be thinking about a drop round, but this won't be, as far as I'm reliably informed, the only rain round we're going to have this this season. These are reasonably stable cars, and there's a reasonable level of what's the word I'm looking for? Ability, I suppose, as expected. So we are going to challenge these guys and girls a little bit more this season with some rain. This is the first of them here as we take our first British round. We're kind of doing a back and forward over the Atlantic a couple of times in the next couple of weeks. So that is where this championship is headed. Plenty of puddles there on the inside of the curbs. And Evan, I know you haven't driven it before, but I can tell you the way that rain is represented in iRacing blows everything else out of the water, particularly when it comes to taking those alternative lives, because you look at those puddles and you can quite literally feel them coming up through the wheel, as you can see now, that rain rolling in down through the Craner curve. So you can see it's in some places, it's not everywhere, and you'll see that rainwater just starting to pool more and more, and that's going to force these drivers. You can see that now, that the bottom hairpin, it's really, really pooled down there. That's going to give these drivers something to think about as we go along this evening.
Yeah, actually, the last time I was in Sean's house, he gave me a go in the F4 around here in the rain, because that had been the previous round. Our mysterious lobby host loves rain at Donington Park, by the way. Just a little tip for anyone who's racing in future RTA seasons. And if it had been real life, I would have been in hospital by the Craner curves. It is quite difficult in a single-seater. These Mazdas will they like the rain a little bit more? I would guess so, but you might have a more expert opinion on that, Kevin.
No, I think these tin tops are a little bit more stable in the water. They carry more weight, which gives you that little bit more, I suppose, weight hitting down into the corner, which obviously gives that little bit more traction as well. You can get away with it. These also MX-5s, as far as I remember, they have ABS on them as well. I'm pretty sure, I'm going to say 95% sure that they have ABS on them as well. I don't think they'd unleash rookies in cars without ABS. So that will help, and I think there's TC as well, or maybe not. I'm not as sure about TC, but definitely ABS, which will get you out of a hole if you end up braking in the wrong part. Ronan will tell you about last year's Sebring attempt in the Porsche hypercar, and that was the first special event that had rain, and iRacing in classic fashion didn't just do rain, but they absolutely hammered us with rain from the race start. And yeah, that was not a fun experience, because the lack of ABS in the rain is really seat of your pants stuff sometimes. But these are a little bit easier. They're going to be easier to handle, and you can see the times massively down. Like, we were talking about, was it 37s in the heavy rain? It's down to 23.8 now with Dylan McClemens. Whose brother Sean announced this week that he will be returning to real life racing. This is the number 18 car. Announced it on his Facebook page that he'll be back in Mondello in a couple of weeks' time, and I think we can all say we're thrilled to hear that.
Absolutely. It's going to be absolutely brilliant to see Sean back after his crash, and he'll be back out on circuit racing for the Leinster Trophy. Something interesting that you'll find of interesting, Kevin, about that next ICCR weekend, it's being sponsored by Teng Tools.
Ah, well, there you go then. So, Teng Tools all around. I wonder, I mean, it is rather fitting that you know, a company would sponsor a race that's full of people who a lot of people would call tools. But anyway, that is another matter. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be a few toolboxes going around Mondello. Maybe they might kit out some of the garages with it. That would be nice. Although if I was putting a 10 toolbox in garage in Mondello, I would be attaching elastic to every single tool in that box. But yeah, here's Dermot Toomey in the aforementioned Tech Tool sponsored number 13 car. He is fifth at the moment and trying to get a bit of a good impression here in the championship. Let's have a look at the championship standings again, because we looked at them earlier on. The B championship is in place as he runs wide there. Conor Mealy and Ronan Doherty up the top, as we said, but Evan Walsh, I don't think Evan is here this evening. Is he? No. So Evan isn't here this evening. Unfortunately, he misses out. So it's going to be a battle between Conor Mealy and Ronan Doherty. Any chance do we think that the likes of Dylan McClements or even Robbie Callahan could have a say in this championship, Evan?
Oh yeah, of course. It's only 20-something points between Mealy and Callahan, and then Dylan McClements you can never really properly rule out. He's obviously a bit quicker in single-seaters than he would be tin tops, but you can never really rule him out. In that top 10, the likes of Sean McClements, not even there yet because he didn't do round number 1. You can expect some more names to jump up. Campto Chuka was not there either because he didn't do round 1. But interesting enough for Campto, it was his best ever start to a season last week in Lime Rock, where he picked up a 5th, and a 4th. So he could jump up there as well. Not saying they can compete for championships, but anything can happen. We know how penalties can decide seasons in RTA. We know how drop rounds come into play. It's still wide open. It will be wide open until maybe about round 5, round 6, especially in the Mazdas, where you really might be on the pace one week and then totally off it another. It's much of a muchness.
Yeah, it's going to be a very very tight one altogether, and those drop rounds do very much come into. We were talking about that the last time as well, so it's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on for sure. Sean McGoldrick though is certainly putting his name in the hat here with a 123.6. Still plenty of time left in this qualifying, and the times are coming down surprisingly enough. I thought they might go up with that little sprinkle of rain that we saw earlier on, but they seem to be coming down, which is good for these guys, it must be said. So, yeah, Dylan McClements in second, ahead of Ronan Doherty. That was the battle that we saw all through last year. Excuse me. That was the battle that we saw all through last year, and one that shall continue this year. Thanks, or this season, should I say. Thanks to all of you, as always, for getting in on the comments. We will be keeping an eye on them as the evening goes on. Sean McClement says, Bello. And let's see, who else is here? And Doherty says, black ice at turn 2. And some spicy weather on the way. We can expect. So, looking forward to that.
Yes, and Peter McCann giving a reason for his absence here this evening. He says, official statement from Peter McCann. I was, this is the quotation mark start. I was asked to step aside due to my exceptional pace this season and have done so on asking by RTA admins. That's about as believable as a communication from the Kremlin, but that is why Peter is not racing tonight. And it's definitely nothing to do with his new job, which, Peter, congratulations on, of course.
Yeah, I'm surprised that that Peter is even touching official communications, given some of the previous communication issues he had with his loss of the Earn Tile sponsorship. But we won't talk about that incident anymore. Sean McClements, he is a man who is also on the hunt for sponsors. If you're interested, try to keep his real life racing going. He was exceptional last week virtually, and yeah, he's on the hunt for sponsors for the real car. So check out Sean McClements if you want for that one.
And the virtual one, seemingly there was nothing on the side of that Mazda.
Well, it's going to take something to we should cobble together a few quid and stick something on the side of it. I'm sure Sean would have absolutely no problem with us putting something absolutely terrible on the side of that car. Yeah, so interesting opening start to the season. Some of the new guys we've seen, Ronan Duffy is one of them. Ronan was very unlucky last week. He got caught up in an incident that wasn't really his on the feature race and was doing quite well up to that point. And Ross Wheatley is another one that has been involved, but I don't know if Ross was there last week, was he? I don't think he was, but I do remember Ross being there for the opening round. So he's already taken his drop round, as far as I'm aware, the number 8 car. So he will be looking to make up some time. Speaking of time, 1 second separating Ronan Duffy in 11th and Sean McGoldrick in 1st. So very, very close there, as a few of our contestants this evening decide to take a more of a rallycross route through the old hairpin, as Sean McClements pretty much rejoins as badly as anybody could possibly rejoin, coming back onto the circuit and then jamming on the brakes while he is on the racing
Paul
line.
Sheehan.
Oh, it's Paul Sheehan. My apologies. Their cars are so similarly boring.
As much as I'd always be the first to lump on Sean, it's actually Paul Sheehan this time. That was not the prettiest rejoin ever, but Sheehan, I think it's his debut here this evening. I can't remember if he was in round number 1 or not, but gonna have to do a little bit better than that, unfortunately. But this track seems to be drying and the lap time's getting quicker, so we might see someone beat Sean McGoldrick.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, just as you say that, Brandon McGahan goes fastest, 123.348. So yeah, slightly less sinister than Sean McGoldrick's 123.666. Which I hope will be taken off our leaderboard at some point. There's something very unsettling about that. Speaking of unsettling, the number 4 car, who is I was gonna say who might be an homage to, but I'll be kind this week. But yeah, there's something very unsettling about the similarities in that number 4 car, which is top of the standings. So expect to see that pretty face plenty this evening.
Have you ever seen the one of Peter Griffin wearing the Alpine t-shirt and someone says it's Ottmar Snafsnauer? That one I found was very funny, but also very cruel, like horrifically cruel. But I think Ottmar actually laughed at it in an interview as well. Sean McClements has just gone purple sector 3. It'd be interesting to see, does he jump up the order? Dylan McClements has gone purple in one of the sectors as well. And there goes Dylan McClements to the top. Took his first ever RTA pole position around Donington Park, and he's looking to repeat that. I think it was the Super Formula Lights he took pole in, and it was also in wet conditions, if I remember correctly. Here's Brandon McGahan, though, not going to improve there, and he's not going to have enough time to beat that. I don't think many are going to have enough time to beat that. Sean McGoldrick is improving on his lap as he comes towards the start-finish line now. Can he retake pole position? And no, don't think he can. Yes, he can. He does. So Sean McGoldrick back on top.
Yeah, Sean McGoldrick on top at 123.1. Very rapidly approaching into the 22s. Now, obviously, qualifying very important, but nice.
Wow, you found that really quickly.
Yeah, he really did. Ottmar Snufsnu in back on top. We're getting involved in that. But yeah, the races are going to be a lot heavier with rain than this qualifying. So that's going to be the real test this evening.
Yes, it is, because the rain is going to pour. Can Dylan McClements? Oh, he's not going to have enough time to get to the line here, is he? Oh, he's just about got there. Is he going to jump up the order? I don't think so. And no, Dylan McClements, despite purple sector 2, just about finishing behind 0.003 separating Sean McGoldrick and Dylan McClements. Brandon McGahan in 3rd, Ronan Doherty in 4th, and it is Camto Chukwa in 5th, Sean McClements in 6th, Dermot Toomey 7th, then it is Robbie Callahan, David Ward. Good qualifying from Jamal Gandoro, qualifying our championship leader Conor Melia in 11th, Dara Halley in 12th, and it is Ollie Meredith and Danny Dempsey, who can never be separated. Emma Dempsey in 15th, Ronan Duffy in 16th, and it is CJ O'Sullivan, David Prunty, Ross Wheatley and Phil Upson to round out the top 20. And then just outside the top 20 we have Dave Collier, Paul Sheehan and Nathan Sweeney has just got in, I think, so he will hopefully be gridding up. It's already a lot wetter.
Yeah, the rain picking up big time, and that is going to be a really interesting thing to deal with for these guys. Let's see what the rain is doing. It looks like it's going to get heavy as the evening goes on. I don't know if we have access to a weather radar. I suspect iRacing gives us a weather radar, but I don't know whether that's the weather conditions at the moment. But I'm not sure if we actually have the radar. But if you look at that, any of those in the aviation world know, any of those in the aviation world know 989 hectopascals is low pressure. And whenever you have low pressure, that usually means some pretty heavy rain. So the wipers are already on. That gives you an indication of what we have as we get going for this opening race in the evening.
Yeah, it's low pressure in the air, but certainly not on the grid, as the stakes are high here in Donington Park as the lights go out and we go racing for the first time this evening. Good start, Dylan McClements, who's looking to tuck into the slipstream with Sean McGoldrick. McGoldrick is up and away in the Team WRT Audi livery on the Mazda. Brandon McGohan defending from Ronan Doherty. Ronan, who will have a lot of experience in these wet conditions after horrid weather in Kyrgyzstan at the weekend for the Formula Ford race. He's going now side by side down the Craner curves with Brandon McGohan, and McGohan looking to hold it round the outside will be very difficult to do here, but Doherty does just back out and we're all safely through for now. But this is the tricky bit, the braking zone for the old hairpin, and this is where someone could go bowling, and we seem to have been mostly clean through, and I am very impressed at RTA.
Yeah, this has been a really good showing, I have to say, given the conditions that we have. But it's going to be very, very nip and tuck as we see at the top. It's just a question now of trying to avoid as many mistakes as you possibly can, because the times are naturally going to come down as the rain continues to fall and the track gets wetter. So it's just being able to try and hold your mettle as best you can and try and stay on the preferred line. Obviously slightly different to the racing line that we would usually see, but there is a preferred line as we look at this battle between Callahan and McClements. And McClements is going to go down the inside and he's going to make that work. He comes across the chicane. Defensively on, he takes out Callahan. Oh, they said, oh, there's another one in the background. That's David Ward. He spun. I was going to say on another one, that's the Simsa Esports. That's Jamal Gandor, who's had a bit of an incident. I was going to say that I thought Sean McClements was being very aggressive over those curbs. And unfortunately, that was enough to see him spinning out. But unfortunately for Robbie Callahan, that's the end of his opening race.
Yeah, that's very disappointing for Callahan, who ran well last week, of course, taking the win in Lime Rock. He won't be repeating it in Heat 1 here anyways, and it's going to be difficult to get back up the order. He has the meatball flag anyways, but his race has already been ran. Let's have a look at the replay then. Sean McClements versus Robbie Callahan. I know we're looking at Jamal here as well. Definitely seemed to be very slippy on the exit of the chicane. Although Jamal had messed it up before then. Was Jamal sent round? No, he goes over the curb there and there's just no grip on that curb. It was the same mistake that caught out all three, and then we almost had them rejoin like a synchronised swimming team. But that is McClements, Ward and Gandor down the order, and of course Robbie Callahan.
Yeah, it's quite literally synchronised swimming given the weather that we have. So the swimming caps are on. But unfortunately not quite as graceful as some of those in the Paris Olympic Games we saw last year. Right, Sean McGoldrick coming up against Ronan Doherty.
He's going to catch him out as well.
Nudge, and he hits the curb. He manages to hold it together, but he's going to lose time, and that's going to invite Campto Chukwa to try and move, but around the outside is going to be difficult. There's a number 5 car gone off the back of Ronan Duffy. Oh no! And Chukwa and McGoldrick have come together, and unfortunately Chukwa has T-bowed McGoldrick right into the barrier, and there's been a lot, Evan, an awful lot of collateral damage in this opening round.
Yeah, McGoldrick pit manoeuvred, and that is very unfortunate. He himself and Chukwa just came together, and that unfortunately has resulted in him in the wall. And oh, the police are around. That is Danny Dempsey, who has gone off and is stuck in the grass. The recent Miami world champ, no, not world champion just yet. Jumping the gun there, sorry, Danny. The recent Miami national champion. Unfortunately spinning down the back, but he's not going to be the last one, that's for sure. We still have 6 minutes and 10 seconds to go in this one, and there is Emma Dempsey, unfortunately, who's going slowly but seems to have rejoined the circuit okay.
Yeah, Danny Dempsey, woo, it's the sound of the police, woo, woo, it's the sound of defeat for Danny Dempsey, unfortunately for him. Emma, however, is trying to stay back in it. She's already had a number of spins, of course, in qualifying, and won there in the race, but she's down next to Sean McGoldrick, who was battling for a race lead up until recently, and Emma Dempsey trying to get round the inside. That is very brave from those two, going over the top of Coppice and down the Skarsky Straight. And as it is, Emma Dempsey leads Sean McGoldrick. Now going towards the front, here is Dear Matumi in the Teng Tools Number 13 car chasing down Conor Mealy, our championship leader, and look at that rain hammering down on the front windscreen as we see cars coming out of the pits here. That's Robbie Callahan, you can just see on your left hand side, waiting to rejoin, and thankfully all of those guys holding off. That's a very dangerous pit exit here at Donington Park, spits right onto the racing line to the opening turn of Redgate. Now Ross Wheatley, here's a man that we hadn't talked about a huge amount in the past. He's joined by off the wall himself, Mr. David Prunty, who proved the name last week at Lime Rock, while number 7 Dara Halley, he's had a big incident as well. He's spun off. That must be going down towards the old hairpin, I suspect. No, it is the old hairpin. Yeah, it is. That's why he's so far off the track. He must just completely lost it there at one of the highest entry speeds of the track. Now here is Brandon McGahan in the number 4 car, and I've given a graphic for Ronan Hederman to put up. I'm sure he won't.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to.
No, he's definitely not going to put that up, but I would like if he did. Ronan Doherty ahead of him, and Dylan McClemens in the lead, and I can hear in my ears that Ronan has just seen that graphic, so hopefully he'll share it with the rest of us to have a look if we can peer pressure him enough.
I don't think he will, but we'll find out. As we're on board with Brandon McGahan, right behind Ronan Doherty, these two have been going at it the last few laps, but look at the lead Dylan McClemens has. 4 seconds he leads this one by. And that's Sean McGoldrick, who unfortunately is stuck in the gravel, and he took the wrong layout. That is the Foggy S's that he was stuck in.
Dear.
But he's on now. He's on the right part of the track now.
Brain foggy S's for Sean McGoldrick, I think.
Yep, as this is Brandon McGahan on the tail of Ronan Doherty, and Team DDR really haven't been creative with their liveries this season, apart from Dylan. It was actually an all Valentino Rossi livery front row in the form of McClemens and McGoldrick, but that unfortunately has gone downhill for the latter of the two. Doherty defends in towards McLean's, and McGahan not going to be able to work away past just yet.
No, and I think Brandon McGahan's running a livery of what Valentino Rossi could look like on a diet of entirely, what was I going to say, Nutella and Ferrero Rochers. Right, he did put it up.
He did put it up. As there goes Brandon McGahan down here. Oh, Ronan Doherty. And it's a brilliant move by Brandon McGahan. Gets it done.
Oh, my hat's off to Ronan Hederman.
To go back into... I don't even know what's happening.
I can't believe he put it up. Oh,
look at the battle we're missing.
This is unbelievable stuff between Ronan Hederman and Ronan Doherty up ahead, and it looks like Brandon McGahan has gotten the lead in the number 4 car. He's just about gotten it. And Ronan Doherty putting all kinds of pressure as we head back up now towards Starsky's Bridge and the Schwadz curve into McLean's, the right-hander. And Brandon McGahan, I genuinely called him Ronan there. Brandon McGahan getting ahead of Ronan Doherty. That's a great battle between those two. McGahan lives to fight another day, and he has only another lap to survive.
He does, and he has another lap to survive. This has been a really good fight. Even if we haven't watched it too much, it's been a really good battle between these two. Brandon McGahan, of course, who won a GP4 or GP3 or GP4 race around here in Donington Park, and Ronan Doherty, who I'm sure would love to race his Formula Ford around here in the future. Oh, Brandon McGahan's got a slide on out of the exit, and Ronan Doherty is going to have to run down towards Redgate of turn number 1. McGahan will have the inside. White flag is raised. Dylan McClemens leads by 6.2 seconds. This is a masterclass from the young man, but McGahan and Doherty still side by side. Dylan McClemens, of course, who is looking to get back into the championship and defend his title from the IndyCar Series. Still Ronan Doherty in front of Brandon McGahan here down the hill. And Ronan, for the first real time, has some breathing room.
Yeah, Ronan just overtaking Brandon McGahan there through that series of corners. And I was just going to comment on it. I think it was a tactical little bump draft there by Ronan Darty, because he kind of pushed McGahan into the corner. And McGahan just couldn't slow down in time, which kind of sent him cascading over the chicane there, which, as we've seen already, is very, very treacherous. And then from that, he can never really get back online. So that compromised him then down through the Craner curves and into the old hairpin, where O'Doherty eventually made the move. So a little push on the back of Starsky straight set into motion, a series of events which now sees Ronan Doherty in second place behind Dylan McClements. And once again, these two boys are leading a race here, and it looks like Dylan McClements is going to bring it home.
Yeah, very impressive. One of his most impressive drives. Dylan McClements could come home to win heat number 1, but Ronan Doherty, is he going to be able to hold on to this one? McGahan's had a much better line, full commitment for the chicane, but Doherty's going to be okay here. He's not going to lose second place. Brandon McGahan then in third. Dermot Toomey, very strong performance to come home in fourth. Conor Melia, impressive comeback in fifth. Camto Chukwa into sixth position, as Sean McClements is going to stay in seventh despite having that spin. Ollie Meredith with a very strong eighth place. CJ O'Sullivan, Dara Halley going to be ninth and 10th. This is the battle between Emma Dempsey and Ross Wheatley, and I think Emma Dempsey is going to hold on.
Emma, can she? Yes, just about by 100th of a second, Emma Dempsey. And that's Jamal Gondor, I think, gone in a huge accident in the background, is it? In Paul Sheehan crosses the line in 17th. And then Danny Dempsey in 18th. I think that's Jamal in the background, but I could be wrong. Let's see. This is Jamal going into the Craner curve, so it mustn't have been Jamal, but I thought I saw
maybe Prunty, actually, because he's running a similar livery to Jamal, but he also had a black flag I saw at the end. So
yeah, maybe it was.
Prunty.
Here is Jamal going slightly wide, but yeah, I'm not sure entirely who it was, but that is the end of our opening heat, and I'm sure you will agree with me that for one reason or another, that was exceptionally entertaining.
There is David Prunty, who is coming around through the final corner. But your full results from this one: Dylan McClements takes the win, Ronan Doherty in second, then Brandon McGahan in third. And it was Dermot Toomey, Conor Melia, Camto Chukwa, Sean McClements, Ollie Meredith, CJ O'Sullivan, Dara Halley, Emma Dempsey, Ross Wheatley. And then it is David Ward ahead of Dave Collier, Sean McGoldrick, Phil Upson, Paul Sheehan, Danny Dempsey, David Prunty and Robbie Callaghan. Ronan Duffy, Jamal Gondor to round out the order. Disappointing for Robbie Callaghan. He'll be coming from the back, as it's a totally different weather conditions for this race.
Yeah, it's all brightened up and dried up a little bit here, but that will change, I suspect, as the race goes on. We love to hear your comments as well. Get in touch on YouTube if you haven't already subscribed to us, and do check out rtamotorsports.com as well as motorsport.ie, and indeed the sim consultants. As we head into the winter months, you're going to want to make sure that your sim rig is ready to go, and particularly as we think about Christmas, we're getting towards it, lads, so think about that as well. What a brilliant gift to give somebody, the gift of endless entertainment as we take this consolation race.
Yeah, and if you have any graphics to put on the stream, submit them to Kevin as well. Here comes Dylan McClements, and Conor Melia has jumped the start. Conor Melia has jumped the start. There'll be a drive-through penalty at the end of the first lap for the championship leader. It's a big blunder here at heat number 2 as we go racing, and McClements gets us underway. Track is still wet, so drivers have got to be careful. Into the first corner, Ronan Doherty and Brandon McGahan picking up where they left off. McGahan immediately looking for second place, as there is someone sliding their way around, and I think David Ward is involved in it as well, as is Phil Upson, who's gone dropping down the order. Disappointing for Upson, disappointing for Paul Sheehan as well, who is bouncing around the bottom of the timing stand. But Dylan McClements in the race lead here. Big move from that is Ollie Meredith, who's got past Camto Chukwa. Meredith, who has become known for being a bit of a wet racer in the karting scene this year, performing very well here at Donington.
Oh, steady on. Doing exceptionally well is Ollie Meredith in the number 95 car. And you said he's a wet racer. He is most certainly a wet racer, because none of these cars have a roof on them. So all of these drivers are going to be pretty damp by the time this is over. Here is Ronan Doherty on the back of Dylan McClements, and we finally get to see these two boys go toe to toe. We haven't seen it much so far this season as they head down into the chicane, and that's a very big cut by Dylan McClements, but he gets it right. and he holds on to the lead as they go line and stern. And there is Conor Melia pulling in for his mandatory stop and go. Great spot by you, Evan. And as you said, a huge blunder by the championship leader.
Yeah, it is. He'll still have something in this race, hopefully, if it's as chaotic as the last one. But Ronan Doherty sweeps around the outside of his teammate and into the race lead. Lovely move by Doherty. It's the old classic wet line where the outside is better. As there's the first commentator's curse of this evening. It's Ollie Meredith who's dropping down the order a little bit, and he now finds himself once again in front and battling with good friend Danny Dempsey. Sean McClemens up to fourth as well, is looking to latch on to this top three, which has been... These have been the pace setters tonight, despite Sean McGoldrick taking pole.
Yeah, most certainly. McGoldrick really struggled in the opening race, and that's blown the door open for everybody else to have a go. And here is Brandon McCann, speaking of having a go. Let's have a look at this. He tries to get down the inside to Dylan McClemens, but McClemens just about holds him off. I thought McCann had to run there, but he just about holds him off. Now he's stuck in a McClemens sandwich. He has Sean behind him and Dylan in front, and Sean is going to apply the pressure here. He's going to try to put as much pressure as he possibly can on McCann, because he obviously has thinking about his own race, but he's also thinking about another race with the Gantry TV sponsored helmet there. We love to see that from Sean McClemens. Fair play to him. As that's a very like discombobulating sight, like Peter Griffin's massive face just staring at you as you're trying to overtake. There's just something very off-putting about that. I don't know. If it was me, I'd feel a little bit concerned.
Yeah, but I suppose if you're battling with Brandon week in, week out, you've got to get used to it eventually, which is where Sean McClemens wants to be. He wants to be fighting up the front and battling with the likes of Brandon McGaughan and his brother and cousin. Speaking of the which, Ronan Doherty under pressure from Dylan McClemens behind once again, and McClemens late on the brakes, but not late enough to just hit Ronan Doherty. He's got a great run out of there, though, out of the old hairpin, and now heading up the hill, heading up through Starkey's Bridge. He's going to look to apply the pressure to the race leader. Sporting the number 2, he has been the runner-up in the last 3 seasons as Ronan Doherty, and for once in RTA, he's looking to not be the bridesmaid, but be the bride in the MX-5s. They're all line astern, heading up to the right-hander, and it is our first real moment of calmness before the chaos kicks off once again down to the chicane.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll see whether that rain picks up again. There's plenty of late summer showers here in Donington, as you see Dylan McClemens closing in on Ronan Doherty. He's going to try and move around the outside. Doherty tries to cover him off. He does, and they all start coordinating. And Brandon McCann's in a very difficult position here. He touches against Sean McClemens and manages to survive. I thought that Brandon was a goner there when I saw the overspeed from Sean McClemens and McGahan closing in on Dylan McClemens, who takes the lead against Doherty. Too many mix in this top 4. We've 2 McClemens and a McGahan. I can't get my teeth sorted out. But yeah, Ronan Doherty overtaken by Dylan McClemens. A great move from McClemens, getting it done on the way into Redcliffe. Now, let's see. This is Ollie Meredith running slowly, and Robbie Callan overtaking CJ O'Sullivan. Sorry, it was CJ O'Sullivan running slowly. I wonder, was there an instant there into the opening turn? As we see now, McCann and Doherty going side by side once again. Doherty just about getting past as McClemens trying to get the pressure on McCann. He is fighting desperately front and back. He throws it down the inside. He Tokyo drifts through the corner, and he's not going to make it. He's taken out Sean McClemens, and he's taken himself out as well. You were wondering when McCann went round the outside and he touched there, was he going to be thrown back into McClemens? I thought he had done just about enough to save himself, but he couldn't, as Emma Dempsey squirrels her way through and into 6th position. A great second race here from Eva in the 17 car.
Until the moment of contact, that looked so cool from Brandon McGahan, but unfortunately it all went wrong. And now they're both involved in a fight here for the second time through the chicane. Doherty's picked up a slowdown, so that's what let Dylan McClemens through in the first time, and that's what might let Dylan McClemens pull a bit of a gap here. Current running order after 5 minutes, a third through the race, is McClemens, Doherty, Toomey, Chukwa, and then Emma Dempsey in 5th place. This really would be a strong result from Emma if she could finish there, but she's under pressure from Sean McClemens, and now Robbie Callahan from the back of the grid. He's up to 7th in 5 minutes here, which goes to show that Callahan's pace last week was no fluke.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, this the thing about these races, that they're so open to potential mishaps if you can keep your nose in joint. Oh, just being that Robbie Callan and then Dara Halley being forced to put on the brakes in a part of the course where you definitely don't want to be changing the weight distribution of that MX-5 too much, especially in these slippery conditions. But yeah, Callahan, if he can just try and steer the course here and stay out of trouble, then he can have a really good result, because there's people dropping left, right and centre in these conditions. So being from the back isn't necessarily as big a handicap as it would be in other races. Here's Callahan getting that slightly wrong now. He's opened the door now for Emma Dempsey to slip through the inside again. Can she? No, she can't. Behind her, Rob. Oh, she gets that wrong as well. She just forced herself into an oversteer, manages to correct it, keep herself going there, as Dara Halley also making a mistake. There's Camto Chukwu going through the chicane. He's into third position here, is Camto. He's having a great running, having been involved in that pit manoeuvre incident in the opening race. And Camto into third position. Diarmuid Toomey following close behind. But Dylan McClements now 2 seconds up the road. Evan, he is really thriving in these conditions.
He absolutely is. Camto, 4 podiums last season, would like to get off the mark here this season, this evening. Here is Dara Halley and Emma Dempsey side by side. A battle that I don't think we've seen before in RTA. And that's a slide there for Halley.
That's Ross Wheatley.
Yeah, that's Ross Wheatley, who's gone off. And now it is the slow tandem to a stop before rejoining the circuit, as Brandon McGaughan able to get past Danny Dempsey.
Yeah, McGaughan's really, he was towing a very fine line there for quite a number of laps between the two McClements brothers, and unfortunately he finds himself down in a 9th position at the moment. But that doesn't mean that he won't get back at it. Here's Ronan Duffy. He's been involved in an incident, and that looks like it's on the opening corner here, going down towards the Craner curve. So not sure exactly what happened to Ronan, but he is well down the order now. That's probably not his first incident to say that he's down in 17th position, as Dylan McClements leading here now by 3.5 seconds. Ronan Doherty must have had an issue, and Dylan's very comfortable here, looking very comfortable, looking very consistent as well, Evan, which is a great sign. It looks like the rain is held off as well, so if anything, the track's going to dry up, making it easier for these guys.
Yeah, I don't want to jump the gun, but McClements has one career hat-trick. That was in the Mustang America's Cup. What was the weather like on that evening in Montreal? It was terrible. It was awful. It was very, very wet. Similar conditions to what we're seeing here tonight. So it bodes well for Dylan McClements heading into heat number 3, which Jordan Kelly tells us is going to be just as mixed as we have had already. Is on. No, Emma Dempsey. That's a mistake. And she is going to now try rejoin the circuit. It's very difficult to get off that grass once you get on it. You just spin round like a Ferris wheel or a carnival ride. Let's have a look. Was there contact? I imagine it was just a mistake on our own. Brandon McGaughan a little bit too far back. Was there a lunge from Brandon? No, Emma just went round on her own, unfortunately. Hitting a wet spot on the track, and Mazda goes out of control. Easily done.
Yeah, easily done. And it's just the way the model is so good here, that must be said. The model for the rain, especially with how it settles on the ground and on the tarmac and how you interact with it, it's really exceptional. So you really have to be on your toes and very flexible. And unfortunately, Emma just catching a bad spot there as Conor Melia tries to make his way back. He had a drive-through. If you've just joined us and you're wondering why he's down in 10th position, jumped the start, unfortunately, and the police weren't particularly happy about that. So they imposed, that is the RTA police, or the iRacing police, imposed a drive-through penalty, or sorry, stop and go. No, it was a drive-through penalty, I think. Am I right in saying, for Conor Melia?
It was, yes.
So a drive-through which he had to take on the opening lap, which forced him down to 10th position, but he's overtaken the fuzz. He's into the top 10, and he's looking for more points, but not necessarily points in his license.
No, he's not looking for more points on his licence, as Danny Dempsey goes side by side with CJ O'Sullivan, and every breath he takes he's hoping O'Sullivan doesn't crash into the side of him as they head down the Craner curves. CJ O'Sullivan, who has 4 top 10s so far this season, looking to add a few more. He's now up to 10th place, but still side by side with Danny Dempsey, and Danny Dempsey sells him the dream, looking for it round the outside, but just doesn't have the run. CJ O'Sullivan ahead.
Yeah, CJ O'Sullivan ahead, and remember, if you're in the mood for a kitchen, then Evan sells those, so just get yourself down to your nearest which
He can't remember the company I work for.
can't even remember the company.
He can't remember he slagged it for an hour and a half last week, and he can't even remember the name.
All I can think about in my head is Horlicks, and you definitely don't work for Horlicks.
I definitely don't know.
Getting that all kinds of wrong as Dara Halley gets overtaken by Brandon McGahan, who slightly goes sideways into the chicane. I'll think about it in a second, but I just really escaped me as Brandon McGahan as Dara Halley came together there, and McGahan is just about surviving here in 7th position. Let's not forget top 8 take the podium, so McGahan's in a very good position for the final race, Evan, even if I can't remember where you work.
No, and Brandon McGahan is in a great position for the final race. He'll be starting in the front row as it stands, but I think he wants points more than starting positions. Probably has the pace to challenge from anywhere in the top 8, so just needs to pick up points here in race number 2. But only 3 minutes left in it, so there's not a long time to go. Did you remember, Kevin?
Howden's Joinery. How could I forget?
It is.
With stores nationwide and a brand new warehouse in Nice, so I'm reliably informed by yourself. So if you're unfortunate enough to find yourself living in Nice, then that might be worth a day trip, because there's
right, well, now he has annoyed the entire of the commentary box. So he's now losing a battle. It's now 2 versus 1, so there might be an scrap in the Gantry TV commentary box for the end of the day.
If I hadn't,
if you do live in Nice, so you can check out popular tourist attractions such as Hederman's Bridge and Hederman's Car Park.
And why not pop down to Evan Walsh Corner at the nearby Mondello?
Yeah, while you're at it.
Right, Dara Halley is in no monuments named after him for the moment. He is in 8th position. This man would know of nothing more than a statue named after him, but I would say it to be more in the form of Stalin than in anything else. Sean McClements in P5 at the moment.
Who has been to Hederman's Bridge.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
The world is a small place. He is 5 seconds behind Dermot Toomey, so really his battle is for 5th place, trying to hold off Robbie Callahan at the moment. Robbie with plenty of pace, so this should be a good battle. That lead from McClements is now down to 0.8 of a second, so Dylan must have had an issue at some point along the way, because he's dropped quite a bit of time on Ronan Doherty. So that battle now is actually live and kicking as we head into the last lap.
Yeah, Dylan lost the guts of 2.5-3 seconds on the last lap, so there must have been a mistake somewhere. It was a 1:26.2 for Dylan, 23.8 for Doherty. So either Ronan Doherty's just remembered that he has a natural gift of driving, or Dylan McClements made a mistake, which is what definitely happened, as Paul Sheehan's running very slowly and is now going to be overtaken by someone. That's actually him being lapped, I think. So this battle is definitely on, heading on to the last lap of the race, and it is as well for 5th spot. Remember, Sean McClements, Robbie Callahan made contact in heat number 1 on the very first lap, so they'll be looking to keep it clean this time.
Yeah, absolutely, they will be. This man, Compton Chuckers, had a great result if he can stay the way it is, holding off Dermot Toomey, and he's had Dermot Toomey all over the back of him for the last number of laps, but Compton's just been nice and clean and consistent. This isn't a track that has a huge amount of overtaking spaces, obviously more than in Lime Rock Park last week. You do have the chicane where you can send it down the inside and into the old hairpin as well if you're feeling particularly lucky, but along this section of the track it's more difficult to try and get an overtake. A lot of these corners are one-line corners really as you head up under the bridge and through the track, and watch Robbie Callahan make a fool of me by going too wide into this section, but he just holds off and Sean McClements comes through. So Robbie Callahan will have to get it done on the area of the track that we're looking at right now. This is down towards the main straight, in towards the chicane, but it looks like, Evan, it looks like Dylan McClements is going to make it 2 wins from 2.
Yes, he is. Ronan Doherty doesn't fancy doing a Tom Nippers on it and lunging from miles back into the final chicane. So Dylan McClements, if he gets the exit, which he does, is going to make it 2 from 2 by 0.3 of a second. Ronan Doherty comes home in 2nd. Campto Chukwa has just survived for 3rd. Meaning all of our last lap battles have gone to the defending driver, or have they? Sean McClements with an early wave. He just about takes 5th.
Yeah, just about in the end. So we're looking at Dara Halley, who crosses the line in 8th position. So Dara will be our feature race leader. Unfortunately for Conor Melia, that's a very disappointing for him. He was one spot away from potentially rescuing a very good result from this evening. As it stands, he could potentially end up using this as his drop round. Ronan Duffy getting into trouble on the final lap, which is not what you want at all. Bottling it in a sort of an Arsenal at the weekend style by conceding late and giving away whatever opportunity he had to make up some decent points. So, Dara Halley, Brandon McCahan in second. That's going to be a very interesting one. I suspect McCahan will have his eyes on the prize there for trying to get a race win this evening, followed by Robbie Callahan, then Sean McClements, Dear Matumi, Campto Chukwa, Rona Doherty and Dylan McClements, your top 8, and then Con Amelia downwards on your grid is what we'll have for the final race. But it sounds like we're going to have a couple of interviews, as we always do, Evan. Will we have a chat with... I'll leave you have a chat with Ronan Doherty, but first I think you're going to give us the results.
Yes, so Dylan McClements, race winner, Ronan Doherty in second, Campto Chukwa in third, and it was Dermot Toomey, Sean McClements, Robbie Callahan, Brandon McGahan, Dara Halley, Conor Amelia, Danny Dempsey, Emma Dempsey, Dave Collier, Ollie Meredith, CJ O'Sullivan and Ross Wheatley, your top 15. Then it was Jamal Gantor ahead of Ronan Duffy, Sean McGoldrick, Phil Upson, Paul Sheehan, David Wardy Ward and David Prunty. Kevin Galvin is running away from Ronan Doherty, so we're going to let him have a chat with your race winners, Dylan McClements.
Dylan, going to keep it short and sweet. What happened there near the end? You had a 3.5 second advantage on Ronan Doherty, but then that seemed to come way back on our timing screen. Was there a small bit of a mistake?
No, I ran into a back marker and I thought it was going right, and then he went left, and it was basically drifting on the grass there for a good couple of seconds.
I'd say your heart was in your mouth.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw that cap coming down the running, but I think we came out and win in the end.
You seem very comfortable in these conditions. Are these cars okay? They seem to be reasonably okay to drive in the wet.
Yeah, I mean, through the corners, you're basically drifting it in. So it's quite fun in these cars, but yeah, it's going so far, so well. Hopefully I keep up my last race.
Brilliant, Dylan. Congratulations. 2 race wins already this evening, making up some great ground. No doubt we'll talk to you very shortly.
All right, cheers. Yeah.
And speaking of man who isn't running away from Ronan Doherty, Evan Dalton will have a chat with our second place finisher.
Yeah, Ronan, congratulations on the podiums. Firstly, brilliant battle between yourself and Brandon. Are you used to the wet weather battles now after the weekend and tonight?
Yeah, no, it was definitely a lot of fun, and yeah, a bit of crack.
Heat 2 then, you gave it absolutely everything to catch up to Dylan with his mistake as well, but just too little too late. What do you think you need to do in heat number 3 then to get one over him and take the race victory?
To be honest, just not get the off tracks. I got an off track when I was in the lead, and then won the next lap. So it cost me like 2.5 odd seconds there, and then I was lapping the same as Dylan all the other laps, but those 2 mistakes cost me, and Dylan was unfortunate to run in with a back marker. So yeah, just try and limit those mistakes at the chicane for the off track.
Yeah, we noticed at the chicane, the 2 off tracks for yourself and then a lot of other drivers going off there as well. Is that where the weather is affecting the track most?
Yeah, it's probably the wettest part of the track. There's patches in other places too. But no, the chicane is very slippy.
Ronan, thank you very much for the insight as always, and best of luck in Heat 3.
Thanks, lads.
And now 3rd place with Kevin Campto Chukwa. No, he's not actually joining us. Never mind. Campto, we hoped we will be able to speak to after the final heat, but that is our interviews for now. So Dara Halley, for the 2nd time in his RTA career, will start on pole, this time though in heat 3 instead of heat number 1.
Yeah, and Dara should make a good fist of it there. We saw him putting some pressure on Brandon McGahan, but I think McGahan is probably our favourite for this final race, Evan, and I suspect that the rain gods will be returning before this 20 minutes are over.
Yeah, about halfway through the race, Jordan Kelly is saying, and you might be wondering, well, what does Jordan Kelly know? He sets up the lobbies, so he actually knows everything. So that is when we expect the downpours to occur. Brandon McGahan, though, was very quick in that wet weather. Looks all over the place, but Usually if a driver looks all over the place, that means they are quick in the wet weather. So Brandon doing a good job of that. Keep an eye on Robbie Callaghan as well. 20th to finish in 5th position, was it? Very impressive. And he'll be one to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Diarmuid Toomey having a great result, so fourth for himself in the 13 car. So, yeah, all set up now for what's going to be a really interesting final race in this World Series, I'm being told. This is, this is like the Americans calling things the World Series when there's only Americans taking part. Like, we're not Irish League and we're
I know,
calling
they've
the league the
Canadians
World
as well.
Series. And who can he? Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. We have one Lebanese and a few Brits, depending
We
on
have a
what
Fijian
your
tonight,
allegiance.
seemingly, as well. David Ward.
Not
Right.
Fijian. That's
No,
actually
sorry,
not the Fijian
is
flag.
it Samoa?
Tuvalu.
Tuvalu, how could I forget? A good friend of mine actually is in regular communication with the Prime Minister of Tuvalu, which is a tidbit no one cares about. But
Hang on, no, you can't just say that and not go on. How does your friend know the Prime Minister of Tuvalu? And who is this friend?
He's just a lad I know from school. He took a very interest. Seemingly the whole country's going to be underwater in like 15 years or something.
Well, if we keep having the rain that we see tonight, then I suspect that Donington Park is going to be underwater before this race is done. Yes, you're right, though. Tuvalu, one of the countries that is most threatened by global climate change and rising sea tides. Water
Reminds
levels.
me of 2021 when the Hamilton fans said they were going to keep polluting the air because the Netherlands is also one of those countries. And Zandvoort, in where we had the recent Formula 1 race, I think in 50 odd years or something, is expected to be underwater as well. But the Dutch are like class, so they'll probably come up with a way of stopping that.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dutch found a way to evaporate the sea, considering how good they are at this kind of stuff. Yeah, speaking of Tuvalu's David Ward in the 69 car, he is third from the back, so don't expect to hear from him much.
We will see what the Tuvalu representative can do. And Dara Halley is off and away as we go racing here in Donington Park. Good start from Robbie Callaghan, immediately putting the pressure on Ballycastle's Brandon McGaughan down to the first corner. Is he going to be able to lunge down the inside? No, goes for the puddles on the outside, which is very dangerous, but that's worked out okay. They're not as dangerous as they were in the earlier rounds. Oh, that is wide from Dara Halley, who is jumping down the order, and it's Brandon McGaughan into the race lead.
Brandon McGaughan into the lead. Dara Halley just those cold tires.
Sean.
And Sean has jumped to start. Sean McClemens jumped to start, so he's going to have to head into the pits. Is Sean McClemens. There's a couple of other drivers who have the poor race starts, but Sean McClemens definitely not one that we would expect. So yeah, in the 18 car, he was going to have to take a pit stop. Or a drive-through penalty, should I say. Dylan McClemens already to 5th position, up 3 places now ahead of Camto Chukra, who we missed out in the interview. So that's what you get for not coming into the interview room, Camto. That's just karma. He's looking at Ronan Dardy for what's now a battle for 3rd place, because Dylan McClemens obviously is going to have to pull off. So it's going to be a 3rd place as McClemens allows Ronan Dardy past. So Sean is going to pull into the pits now. That means that brother Dylan is going to be up to 4th already from 8th after the opening lap. And Sean does indeed pull into the pits. I wasn't sure whether he was going to do that now as he took the wide racing line, but he does so. Brandon McCann leads us heading into the 2nd lap. All change. Evan in this opening lap with Dara Halley gone and Sean McClemens gone out of this.
Yeah, Brandon had a slowdown, so Robbie, or still has a slowdown, I should say, and Robbie Callaghan's gone clean round the outside. Someone spun round. I think it's Dara Halley, yes, the poleman, not having the successes of Long Beach last season in heat number 3. Sean McClemens, who hasn't been plagued by jump starts as much as he was back in the Formula V season, where I think he had as many jump starts as podiums or something like that. Unfortunately down the back, but there's still something in this race. This is going to be a chaotic 20 minutes. We've already had a chaotic 2 minutes, so I expect to see that trend continue. Here's Conor Melia looking for it around the outside on Camto Chukwu, and that's Danny Dempsey who's fighting for the lofty heights of the top 5 down the inside of Camto, and that is both Conor Melia and Danny Dempsey finding a way through.
Yeah, Camto struggling a little bit, I think. I don't know, was he struggling to get the tyres up to temperature or what? He's going in with Danny Dempsey, and I think there was a bump there between the two of them. We just missed out there, but certainly that will be a hit and run on the police's charge sheet. Now Robbie Callahan trying to put pressure under Ronan Doherty. Doherty's going to have the side of this corner, and he just blocks off Callahan, forcing Callahan onto the brakes, which gives that car a little bit of a wiggle as they all come out a little bit sideways here. But that's going to open up the door now for Brandon McGahan, try and get back past the number 7 car. McGahan had to slow down the last lap. No such woes on this one. He's going to try and go around the outside. It's a dangerous move here. Very dangerous with Ronan Doherty backing up as well. And there's a touch between those two. But the two of them, all three of them, managed to get through unscathed as we head down into Crater Curves. Will that last though? There's a couple of bit of rubbing already. And these cars are already so sensitive. And I'm not sure why we cut away there. But anyway, that's another car being turned around in the background. It's Dave Collier, I think, being turned around in what we saw there. And Sean McClements coming back out on the track now. He's 18th position. Dara Halley having more issues, unfortunately, so he's in the pits now, is Dara Halley, and it's been a woeful final race for the 802 car. I'm not sure if he got caught up with Emma Dempsey there, because she's also into the pits, or are they separate incidents, but just about surviving all of those guys. And now Dylan McClements mounts a front on Robbie Callahan.
Yeah, a lot of contact on that last lap. Dave Collier getting spun round. Danny Dempsey sending out an SOS after that bit of contact with Campto Chuck, where there was a little bit of argy-bargy between Robbie and Brandon, but nothing too major. These top four are entertaining here. And there is a slowdown for Sean McClements as well down the back. There goes Brandon McGahan looking for the race lead on Ronan Doherty. Has he got it done through the chicane? We're just waiting to see. Is there a slide on? And Brandon McGahan off the circuit he goes. Is he able to save it? Is he able to save it? Oh, beautiful, like Tony Hawk skating across the curb. But he's come off the half pipe, gets it back on the asphalt, and somehow remains in a straight line.
Like Peter Griffin with that chicken that he keeps fighting. He's just coming back from the death and throwing that final punch to get it done. But big contact there between Doherty and Callahan going into the final chicane. And these cars are, as I said, they're on ice really on this very, very wet track. Now we're into full 100% track saturation, I would say, at this point. And unfortunately, when you come together, there isn't much margin for error. And if you go off to the side, as Brandon McGahan did, you're going to find it very, very difficult to get back on. Now let's have a look at this incident again. This is McGahan, who is trying to mount an offence, and he brakes late, just Brandon, sends into the corner, and then Ronan tags him on the left rear. And Brandon does exceptionally well not to be turned around there. Must have counter-steered into it and then had to go back the other way to stop himself from counter-steering into the barriers. But Ronan Doherty had a little bit of a nibble there. A little bit of a cheeky one, I think. Let's see how he gets on here as Dylan McClements tries to go through, and Robbie Callahan... Attack between McClements and Callahan. Callahan sideways manages to catch it, and that therefore allows McGahan through. McGahan, however, has a slowdown, as does Ronan Doherty. So these four are going to get jumbled up again. Doherty tries to move to the outside to get himself a good entry into the final corner, as the rain even hits my screen here. So I'm going to have to close the gantry window here to stop the rain from causing havoc to my own system. It is absolutely bucketing it down here at Donington Park. Evan, how have these four guys survived?
This is class. Ronan Doherty, Robbie Callahan, Dylan McClements, Brandon McGahan. Ronan getting away with that slowdown, really, still in the race lead and has it served. Brandon McGahan sent to the back. Is Dylan McClements going to look for this one on Robbie Callahan, though, trying it around the outside. That's not going to work out just yet, but he's all over the rear mirror of Robbie Callahan, and he's looking for it now down the inside on the Hederman. Dylan McClements into second place. That is about as neat a move as you can get in these conditions, and that's forced a fight between Brandon McGahan and Robbie. Robbie slow exit. Brandon follows through as well. Dylan defensive line in towards the final chicane, and look at this, we're almost free of race in a soaking wet Donington Park. Look how late Dylan McClements has broke. Oh, I thought he was going to clatter into the side of his teammate there, but doesn't. Robbie Callahan's been spun round by Brandon McGahan, just got door to door with the Ballycastle man, and it's not worked out the better for the 7.
Yeah, there was only a certain amount of times they were going to get away with doing that, and they'd been bouncing off each other. McGahn just about caught it one lap. Callahan now, McGahn going for a late ditch move, but he's made that all kinds of wrong, and he's managed to stay on track, but he's lost out, and he's invited now Conor Melia to get involved here. Our championship going into this round anyway, our championship leader, Conor Melia, he's desperate to try and atone for the jumped start on the opening race, I think, for Conor Melia. So here's Sean McClements now. He was, speaking of jump starts, he's another man that has ended up in the steward's room for that, and he's had to pay the price. He's trying to make a move now. Ross Wheatley, Ross who had a terrible start. He actually ended up almost drifting himself into the pit lane, as that's a big bump in the back from Sean McClements, and Wheatley isn't happy about it at all. He comes across and covers across the 18, and the two of them going side by side. 8 meets 18 as we head up the hill, and Sean McClements just about getting that done, but that was a feisty one between the two of them, Evan.
Yeah, that was a bar fight in PG1 if I've ever seen it for Sean McClements with Ross Wheatley, and Wheatley is going to no doubt fight back there. Ronan Doherty is also going to try and fight with Dylan McClements here, or we'd rather not, as Brandon another slowdown. They're going to plague McGahan if he keeps picking them up through that chicane. It's exactly what Ronan said he needs to eradicate from his driving if he wanted to win this heat free, and it's going to cost Brandon here. He's still looking to move down the inside all the same, but he has backed off very early, and this might invite Conor Melia through. So we had a 4-car fight with Callahan. Callahan spun round. Melia has now invited himself into this, and Conor Melia has, in the last couple of weeks, hasn't really been the strongest in Heat 1 and 2. It's Heat 3 where he's made the difference, winning in round 1, second in round 2. If he finishes third here, that would just complete the trifecta.
Yeah, and this is the thing for Conor Melia. He kind of has nothing to lose. I know he comes in as championship leader, but it's not been a great round for him as it is. So he's probably targeting this as his drop round. But if he comes in here and he gets a result as first or second place, it'll give him a few more points towards it. So, look, if he crashes out, no big deal. He's not using this. He's not planning on using this as a round anyway, I suspect. Given how the first 2 races have gone. But if he can get a result here, then all of a sudden that opens the door for him to potentially use this round and drop another one. So for Conor Melia, he might as well have a go here. He's nothing to lose, and there's so much happening. We're only halfway through this race, so there's still a huge amount of time for the 56 car to get himself involved, particularly if the guys at the front keep battling the way they are, and Brandon McGahan keeps getting these slowdowns, and he's off the track here as Brandon McGahan. You can see him there in the background skating, and he's going to try and get himself back on. That's allowed Conor Melia the easiest of overtakes as Ronan Doherty and Dylan McClements go side by side into the opening corner. Doherty gets through on McClements. Will McClements give it up? No, he won't, and we go 2 abreast down through the Craner curves.
Yeah, you'd think the two teammates would work together now that they have a gap on the rest of the field, but that is not in the diaries of Ronan Doherty and Dylan McClements for today's to-do list. Dylan breaks a lot later, he's ran a lot wider, and Ronan Doherty, he's had a little bit of a slide, but holds on to it, does the boy from Dunloy, and he will gather it all together and have another go, maybe on the next lap. But Dylan McClements leading, Ronan Doherty second, then it is Melia, Toomey, Chuckwa, Callahan, McGoldrick, Dempsey, and Sean McClements. What a consistent effort tonight from Dermot Toomey to pick up big points.
Yeah, that's a big door there between David Prunty and Jamal Gandor. Jamal's going to keep going, and he wasn't going to pull out of that one, was Jamal, and he's not. He's a man that's not afraid of incidents, and now he's just pit maneuvered himself and spun round, and I think that's a little bit of karma there for Jamal Gandor, and I think Dave Collier Dave Prunty, should I say. I would say that if David was doing that in real life, there'd be a certain gesture going out the window. Maybe there was even in the virtual world. I'm not sure, but I can imagine David enjoyed that one.
Elite reference from Ronan Hederman saying, he's going for first as I'm going for first as John Cleland, the old Murray Walker British touring car line. I'm sure most of the stream chat will understand it, but if you don't, just give it a Google on YouTube. Well worth a watch.
Yeah, and while you're at it, you can check out Howden's new advertising campaign featuring our one and only Evan. It's actually not on YouTube, is it? It's on Instagram, isn't it?
There's
So it's
literally
episode.
like no link in there for a reference. Like, you worked on
I
radio,
just-
Kevin. You know how important like links are.
Trying to shoehorn stuff in. It's all right. You got to experiment. It's a medium for experimentation. Right. Dylan McClements. He is certainly not finding it difficult to get a link in at the moment, because he's linking himself in with a potential 30 points this evening. That is some outstanding driving here from the 88 car, who really is taking these conditions on board, and given all the carnage around him, particularly this final race showing, has been really impressive, Evan.
It has been very impressive. It's been very impressive from anyone who's been in the lead fight tonight, because the battling has been superb given the conditions. It would be very easy to just run your own race and not fight and just try bring the car home, but that's not what RTA is about. That's not what these guys are about in their racing careers. They are going to fight and fight until the end. And Ronan Doherty hates finishing second. Listen to him in interviews when he finishes second. We're all congratulations on the podium. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about finishing second. He wants to win. And even if it is his cousin in front, he wants to beat him. Here's Ollie Meredith and Danny Dempsey, who are battling for the final position in the top 10. And Ollie Meredith is going to go for the switchback. These are two drivers who are practicing their crafts to get to the levels of Dylan McClements and Ronan Doherty. And they put a lot of time into the sim, and that is slowly showing here in the MX-5s. Another one who puts a lot of time into the sim, Kamto Chukwa, who sim racing is his main form of racing. He's now fighting with Robbie Callaghan, and Callaghan looking for it on the outside here. Last of the late breakers for Robbie. That's a lovely move down the inside.
Yeah, really tidy here from Callaghan, who's been involved in some battles, but he certainly shows that he's well capable of handling these MX-5 machines. And yeah, lovely little tidy move there. 5 minutes past. We're down to the final 5 now, and here are the top 3 as they barrel through the chicane. And no slowdowns here, because Brandon McCahan isn't in the top 3. So Conor Melia, it's not going to be quite as easy for him this time. He has Ronan Doherty and Dylan McClements in front of him. Let's see if the teammates work together, or no. Well, I think that's enough of a symbol to show us that they're quite not going to work together from Ronan Doherty. So still an opportunity for Conor Melia here if he's patient. These two might still come together as Danny Dempsey now tries to overtake CJ O'Sullivan. Actually, I think it's O'Sullivan's going to overtake Dempsey, because Dempsey was in 10th position here. He must have had an instant there, because he was battling with Ollie Meredith for 9th, and now finds himself down into 12th position as Sean McClements is overtaking Danny. Can he get a double move done in 2 corners here? Can the number 18? He's going to go for it. He's going to squeeze down the inside. It's a little bit untidy on the inside of CJ O'Sullivan. And McClements, just about by the skin of his teeth, gets it done. And he's up into the top 10 is Sean McClements, as that battle between O'Sullivan and Danny Dempsey rages on. No great change at the front. Ronan Doherty still putting pressure on Dylan McClements. Quite a big gap now between these 3 and the rest of the runners, as Ronan is giving Dylan a bump draft. We saw that work from the last time. He pushed Brandon McCahan into the corner. McCahan got it wrong. McClements steps on the brake. He's gone very deep into the corner, but he's managed to make it work as the 88 machine, and he survives another one. That with an interesting tactic from Ronan Doherty, just shoving his competitors into the corner and giving them a little bit extra work to do on the brakes to get it down to speed.
Yeah, brilliant fighting though, as Doherty down the inside once again. It's Dylan McClements. McClements runs a little bit wide, and Ronan Doherty gets just in front. We saw brilliant battling for 10th spot. Danny Dempsey was in 10th, down to 12th now after that battle. That one will sting, but these two with an unbelievable fight for the race lead. Side by side, contact for the Craner curves, down towards the old hairpin. Miracles on water. Ronan Doherty straightens it up. How on earth has he stayed in the race lead?
How has Ronan managed that? That is absolutely outrageous stuff from the number 2 car. We didn't get a proper look at it. We might get a chance to look at it again. Yeah, we suppose we might as well do it now as do it ever. But yeah, let's see there. There was big contact from Dylan McClements on Ronan Doherty. Oh, look at that. Completely pit maneuvered him, kept pushing him, and just righted him. So actually, Ronan, it's kind of all's well that ends well, because Dylan clatters into Ronan, but then also helps to push him back in the right direction. So this battle continues on.
Yeah, I hope no penalties handed out for that one because it all went okay. Maybe for that one though. That's more contact. And now Ronan Doherty's going to head across the chicane, does he? No, gathers this up. Is there going to be more contact between the two? Conor Melia senses his chances. Brandon McGowan's gone round in the background. It's all kicking off on lap number on minute 17 in this one, I should say. Lap 13 if you're interested. And Conor Melia is on the outside here of Doherty and McClements. But Ronan Doherty, despite everything, is still in the lead of this race.
Yeah, there's something hilarious about seeing Peter Griffin yeet himself across the track sideways into the pit lane. But yeah, I think Ronan Doherty can count himself slightly fortunate there because he quite aggressively defended against Dylan and kind of caused that contact. And then unfortunately Dylan wobbled, which opened the door for Conor Melia. So Dylan has work on his hands now. He's going to try and dispatch Melia in the 56 car. Melia did really well to avoid contact because he barreled into the middle of that, and those two guys were not going at the speed that they normally would be. So Melia did well to hold off. He's found himself in second position. We talked about that patience being important as Robbie Callahan makes up a position. He's in fourth position now on Diarmuid Toomey. Ross Wheatley and David Prunty are having a battle as well further down the positions. But this is the battle that we're focusing on. It looks like Ronan Doherty has opened up a gap now thanks to that battle between McClements and Melia. But Melia will be having his eyes on first position. He is already up. Conor Melia, let me have a quick look. He is up 7 positions.
Dylan's lost it.
Dylan's lost it on the outside. That's really going to cement now Conor Melia's fact that he's going to go for it. Melia, a touch against Doherty. That's a little bit unnecessary there as Doherty tries to close the door on the outside. They get very close. Wing mirrors almost touching. A little bit of a bump for good measure. But they managed to survive through the opening corner. Ronan Doherty, as you said, he hates losing. He's certainly showing that in some very robust defence as Brandon recovers from his unplanned trip to the pit lane. And he is maybe approaching his X limit. We're not entirely sure, but certainly plenty of incidents as that's trying to switch back is Conor Melia. He's not going to make it work this time, though. He has one more chance now to get it done.
There was a spin for Robbie Callahan as well, Kevin. Sorry to jump in, but that is a big one for Callahan's championship hopes. He's spun down to 9th position as Dylan McClements is involved in this one as well. And there's contact between Dylan and between Conor, and there's a lap car who gets swiftly out of the way. That's Paul Sheehan. Ronan Doherty's looking like he's going to take this one home. Battle for second still rages on. We've one more chicane to go. 0.7 of a second, way too far back for Dylan McClements, but with the way Doherty's been taking this chicane, it is not over until he crosses the checkered flag. Is he going to break nice and early and keep it concise? Yes, he is. He's broke about 3/10 early in through this chicane. Dylan McClements looking for the run of his life here, slides it all the way across and hangs on to it, counter steers. Ronan Doherty, though, is going to get a win, and it is his 5th win of the season. Dylan McClements in second, Conor Melia in third. What a battle.
What a battle. And there's plenty of other people who've played their part in that. Talk about Brandon McCahan as well getting involved in that, and even Sean McClements earlier on, some superb battling. McClements, Dylan of the McClement of the Dylan variety, he certainly went for broke there in the final corner and almost threw it all away. 0.02 of a second between himself and Conor Melia. So tight. But just about managing to hold on as another battle rages on here. Here's Danny Dempsey and Ross Wheatley. Ronan Duffy and Ross Wheatley, should I say. As Duffy goes down the inside, Wheatley tries to move across. He doors Duffy, but they're not at quite a high enough speed as Wheatley skids off on the distance. And he's going to come across the track, and that's going to force him into David Prunty, who manages to take the lead. And that's a car stranded on track just past the finish line. That's not a great place to be. But Ronan Duffy finishing 13th, Private Prunty finishing out of Ross Wheatley. And behind them is Phil Upson and Paul Sheehan, who I have to say, hats off to Paul Sheehan there for his part in that battle, because there wasn't very many places for him to go, but he just pulled off the track and stood on the brakes and managed to stay out of the way. So in fairness to Paul, good work there as a lap car to stay out of the way of the battle. But Ronan Doherty taking this one, and we're still waiting for the first all-3 race winner this season.
Yeah, Ronan Doherty with the win, Dylan McClements in second, Conor Melia in third, Diarmuid Toomey in fourth, Brandon McGowan in 5th, Sean McGoldrick in 6th, and it was Campto Chukwa, Robbie Callahan, Ollie Meredith with another top 10 in heat number 3. Sean McClemens in 10th position recovers after that jump start. C.G. O'Sullivan in 11th, and was Danny Dempsey, Ronan Duffy, David Prunty, Ross Wheatley, Phil Upson, Paul Sheehan, Dave Collier, Jamal Gandor, and unfortunately our early losses of Dara Halley, Emma Dempsey and David Ward. Kevin, would you like to reunite with your old friend again?
Yeah, sure. Let's have a chat with Ronan Darty, because I am interested about this little tactic that Ronan Darty seems to be employing. Ronan, I have noticed, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure I'm not. I've noticed that you've been employing a little bit of a tactic in some of these races. First of all, congratulations on your race win. Second of all, tell me, as we head down the Starsky Straight and towards the chicane, I noticed that you've been bump drafting some of your opponents down the straight. Are you trying to give them a little bit extra work to do as we head into the chicane?
It's more about not moving out too early. The longer you sit in behind someone, the less time. Whenever you go to the left, someone's always going to start coming over to the left to squeeze you to give less, sort of turning radius into the corner. So the longer you can keep them pinned there, the better. And by just staying right up their rear bumper, that's what the sort of intent I had with it anyway.
Okay, so there wasn't a sort of a bump drafting to sort of push them into the corner, and then.
Well, it wasn't really. I mean, I guess that's an effect of it too, but it wasn't the intended effect. The intended effect is to pin them at a more acute angle to the corner coming up for as long as you can before you swing out. And some guys come out early, and then you're allowing the defending driver to open the corner a little bit more.
Right, because that final corner certainly was the cause of plenty of incident. Some superb battling. You had to work exceptionally hard for that race win, but really, really high quality battling, it must be said. How did you find that final race overall?
Oh, it was great. Like me, Dylan, and Connor were just talking there. I think we were at some point we all hit each other in some sort of weird way. With the water, it's just hard. Like sometimes you'll hit the brakes and start aquaplaning a bit. The car will start moving, or through Craner when it went sideways. It just Dylan was understeering, had nowhere to go. So, no, it was an incredible race. Probably one of the most fun races I've had on RTA.
And yeah, because obviously that moment heading past the old hairpin, Dylan went into the side of you, turned you sideways, and then kind of pushed you back in the right direction. I'd say your heart must have been in your mouth when that was going on. And were you surprised by the fact that you could have righted yourself? Like, did you think your race was gone at that point?
Yeah, but all you're kind of thinking about is trying to save the car, even if it is almost an unsavable. So I've just put as much lock as iRacing allows, right hand down, and I think Dylan was still pushing my door, which sort of helped straighten it up too. But yeah, it was. I'm sure it made for a bit of entertainment watching at home anyway.
Well, there was no shortage of entertainment, so thank you for providing that. And big congratulations on your final race win. It's been a really good evening, all things told, on an evening where lots of others will be thinking about it as they drop. So a nice one for you heading into next week, where no doubt we'll be speaking to you again.
Cheers, lads, and thanks for the commentary, and thanks to everyone watching at home.
So that was Ronan Doherty. Interesting. Slightly different to what I would have thought. Now, let's hear the other man involved in that hair-raising event, Dylan McClemens.
Dylan, congratulations. It wasn't to be the hat-trick tonight, but still 2 wins and a 2nd place. Talk to us about your perspective on that battle then, because that was a real cracker for us to watch.
Oh, the battle was insane. I think the rain adds another aspect to the racing, but there was some moments with contact, but none of us got out, and it was still a great race overall. And yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of a scrappy moments, but I mean, in terms of the racing, it was unreal.
Then one little moment between yourself and Ronan heading down the Craner curves where you seemed to make contact. It all worked out in the end, but were you a little bit worried that there might have been a penalty coming if Ronan had have ended up facing the wrong way?
Well, I saw he was basically in front of my car, so I was trying to aim to straighten him, and carry on with the race. But thankfully, I mean, I think I touched the puddle on the inside, it ran me out, and I was like, I was on the brakes and all, and I don't know, but I haven't looked over it. But at least the incident wasn't, took us both out or took one of us out.
Are you happy to put on a good performance for the newfound Cork fans?
I mean, it's definitely been better than my other few races in the MX-5, but yeah, I mean, can't complain.
And lastly, championship as a whole. Obviously, you want to win it. That's your new standard. Do you think you can?
Well, I have to say about the points now. I do think I have the pace for it, but the first 2 rounds, I think I was out of position and start of races, and it ruined me and got me a couple points down. But we'll have a look and see. But I'll definitely be pushing for it.
Dylan, congratulations tonight and well done.
Thank you, Evan.
And now, last but not least, I'll explain it after. Last but not least, Conor Melia.
All right. Okay, I'm looking forward to that. Conor Melia, congratulations. You had to battle quite a bit from the back. Obviously, that false start it was a little bit of a kick in the gonads at the beginning, but to be involved in the final battle and you were so close to a second place finish. Tell me a little bit about how you feel about how everything went this evening.
Yeah, happy enough with the final result. Yeah, the false start. My wheel, I have the like touch bite point or whatever set up, and my wheel like disconnected and reconnected. Like I love Fanatec, it's great. But yeah, so came out fairly far back. I was lucky enough that I only got the drive through. I didn't get the stop go. So I was only like 16 seconds back from the lead. So I could get back up just outside reverse grid pole, one position more. But yeah, no, good fight back. The third race, I didn't really do much battling, in fairness, to get back to the start. I kind of just was there. And I kept it on the road, which a few of the lads ahead didn't. So I was right up behind them. Yeah, a few. I thought I had it a few times, especially when Ronan was sideways down the Craner curves. I jammed on the brake because I could see just a massive pile up incoming, which never came. And yeah, just some kind of robust MX-5 racing. Between the three of us, so it was good crack. These yokes are great in the wet, so hopefully we can do more of this later in the season.
Yeah, well, they make for great racing, and I have to say, you guys really turned it on tonight because, like, obviously you were on the tail of Brandon McGahan, and then Brandon was really struggling through the chicanes. You got ahead of him, and then yeah, I'm just very interested to, as you said, like how high was the temptation to kind of just put the foot to the floor when you saw Ronan going sideways there and just kind of throw all caution to the wind when you thought that, do you kind of regret not being a little bit more aggressive in that moment, or do you think you made the right decision?
No, in fairness, like I came away with, but I can't remember how the point system works. I don't know what third is. Evan is there. He probably knows.
It is 26.
Thank you. I have 26, and that could have been 0, because knowing those Nordy lads and their internet connections, could have ended up with me upside down again. Yeah, so I'm happy enough that I backed off a bit and let them work itself out. I can't believe he kept going. Fair play to him, and Dylan as well for righting him again.
I didn't think that broadband was going to be the big topic that's going to bring another civil war. But thanks for bringing that up, Conor. Congratulations on your third place finish. I have to stop myself saying second because yourself and Dylan were back and forth so much. But congratulations on your third place finish, and no doubt we'll speak to you again before the end of the season.
Cheers, lads.
So yeah, that is our last interviewee of the evening and wraps up what has been an absolutely hectic evening here at Donington Park. And Evan, the rain never disappoints. It always brings great action.
Yeah, especially in a car like this with such a great grid of drivers, you're always going to get entertainment. We got that tonight. The battle for the win was class. There was some brilliant battles throughout the field. I saw the stream chat even commenting on a few. Johnny, I saw, mentioned Danny Dempsey and CJ O'Sullivan. There was a great battle between them. Dermot Toomey had a couple of great battles as well. I think even Emma Dempsey and Dara Halley had a good battle at one point as well. So it was a real great showing. It wasn't the total chaos that maybe we expected coming in, but that was a good thing because it showed off the advantages of having a car like this on a track like this in conditions such as this.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's only one thing left to do, which is to nominate our driver of the day. And one of the things, nice. Peter McCann listening to our commentary. I mean, it's kind of like a radio commentary that we do, so I don't see why we shouldn't you shouldn't have it on the car. So thanks very much for having us on, Peter. Great to see Gantry TV in the car radios around, and I'm sure there's other.
Hopefully he could hear it over the scraping of the back bumper. Or not bumper, sorry, but Peter, you know what I mean.
Right. One last thing to do before we call it a night, and that is to announce our driver of the day. Now, Jamal Gondor has gone for Dermot Toomey, which I think is a very, very good shout because Dermot had a really good evening of it. What do you think, Evan? I know I'm putting you on the spot because normally we generally try to figure these things out as the race goes on, but Dermot Toomey for me seemed like a very good shout.
Dermot was actually my pick as well, so I would go for Dermot Toomey. There was a couple more votes for Dermot as well. Johnny, I think, went for Dermot, but he was my pick from middle of Heat 3, I'd say, and then he brought that result home. So really impressive for Dermot Toomey. He has picked up leaps and bounds as a driver in the last few weeks, winning the British 24 rental kart race, or British 24 in the rental class. And he's been excellent in these MX-5. So Dermot Toomey, congratulations, Gantry TV driver today.
So Dermot Toomey, our driver of the day. Dylan McClements, our big winner of the day with 2 race wins and a second place finish. Next week we head back over the Atlantic again to Mid-Ohio, a track that always seems to feature well in the RTA. We can't promise rain this time, but we can promise more of the exceptional racing and, might I'd say, superbly hilarious commentary that you can expect with us here on Gantry TV. My thanks as always to Evan Dalton for his continued support and patience with putting up with some of my crappy jokes, especially concerning his new role as Howden's Kitchen spokesperson. Head to rtavirtualmotorsport.com for all of the latest if you want to check out what all those points means. Conor Mealy doesn't know what they mean, but you can find out what they mean by heading there, and also signing up for next season, which promises to be a great one. Motorsport.ie, as always, for the best in Irish motorsport, all of the updates there. And do remember as well to head over to the Sim Consultants. As I said, Christmas coming up, a great opportunity for you to support a local Irish company and pick up something special, someone special in your nice. Let me say it again. Someone special in your life, something nice. But until then, I'll try and put my teeth back in before next week when we head to Mid-Ohio. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the week, and we'll speak to you soon next week. Slán go fóill.